Welcome back to another episode of Mac Stories Unwind. I'm John Voorhees, and with me is Federico Viticci. Hey, Federico.
Hello, John. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. It is time for us to talk about dive bars again. It's been too long,
Again?
Federico.
Okay.
Again. We have done this.
Okay.
I don't remember when, but many moons ago, you and I talked about dive bars, either on this show or in a Mac Stories Unplugged when that was a separate thing. But I want to tell you about this place that I drive by it fairly frequently. It to kind of paint you a picture. When you leave my town, you very quickly find yourself in kind of the countryside, fields, farms, but also some subdivisions. It's kind of
the alligators, the snakes,
the alligators,
I know.
the snakes, the bears, all that. But just outside of town, on this corner that is separate, there's really nothing else around this intersection. There is a dive bar. And I've always wondered about it. I've never really had occasion to go there. And I drive by and it looks very seedy. I mean, it has an old phone booth outside, like not a booth, but like a thing attached to the side of the
nice.
pub that has like an old telephone book holder hanging off of it.
Okay.
There's no phone anymore. The phone has been since either taken away by the phone company or stolen. There's like an old a truck trailer that maybe was used as kind of a food truck parked out back, but it's so rusty and has flat tires, it looks like it hasn't been moved in 30 or 40 years. And they always have a big sign declaring that Friday night is karaoke night. Okay. And so I was just the other day driving past there with Jennifer, and we said, we should just for a lark, we should walk in there someday and just see what it's all about. But I looked at this place and I thought, this might even be too divey even for me. And so I thought, well, it just looks really run down and beat up. And I just thought this is probably going in there. It's not like you would go in there, you'd turn around and then there's nowhere else to go right nearby. You'd have to go quite a ways. And I just figured, no, I'm not so sure I want it. So I researched it, Federico. I did what you do. And I was actually writing the maps section of the Mac OS review.
All right.
And I tapped on this particular pub. And that took me, of course, as Apple still does, to Yelp. And I got a kick out of the reviews of this place. First of all, I sent you the link. You should open the Yelp link.
Oh, that just the preview looks super sketchy.
Click on the very first image at the top and you will see as you can see, this bar, as far as I can tell, this bar is nothing but two pool tables. It looks like a cigarette machine in the back, which I don't think it's legal to smoke in bars in North Carolina. But it looks like a cigarette machine, doesn't it?
There's a ladder on the right side.
There's a ladder. In the foreground, what you're seeing is the bar. As far as I can tell, this is the entirety of the place, although one of the reviews says there's a back room. This room with it has a little bit of like an airplane hangar style ceiling, although it's not like big like an airplane hangar. It's just a curved ceiling made of nothing but pressboard plywood.
Oh my God.
With some random wires hanging from the center of the room to a couple of looks like Coors and Miller Lite lamps hanging over the pool tables, and a big Coors Light banner on the wall. And that's about it, that on a concrete slab. And so that's just to paint a picture. But then you go to the reviews and you have to scroll down a bit. But if you go to the reviews, it says oldest bar in Mooresville, North Carolina, also cheapest bar in town, recommended going on Friday nights for karaoke. Okay, so far you're thinking, all right, this is okay. Then you go on and the next one says, cheap beer puts the dive in dive bar, rains inside when it rains outside. Apparently they sell food. That seems risky, to be honest. I'll be back. All right.
That's 5 stars.
5 stars. So that review right there is 5 stars. And it just goes on from there. There's another person who was expecting cheers, which I think was probably not a good idea. They describe it as filthy with a low ceiling and reeking of smoke, even though nobody was smoking inside. And there's a whole thing about how it's possible that this place smells like smoke, even though no one is smoking. And then there's another person who said, got cussed out by an angry biker, but the beer was pretty good, and they have pool tables. 3 stars.
John, if you go to this bar, you're gonna die. Like they're gonna see someone like you with your fancy iPhone and your fancy Apple Watch. You are going to die.
This is the kind of bar you walk into, and if there's anybody in it, all the heads will turn and look at you and judge you for having come into the bar in the first place.
At that point, you only have one exit strategy. You need to
backing out slowly.
No. Listen to me.
Okay.
At that point, you need to own your presence. While all the heads are turned to you, you need to own the fact that you're now there in that situation. Look straight in the eye at somebody and yell, "First round on me."
Oh, there you go. That's perfect.
That is your only strategy to get accepted into this bar.
And since it's cheap beer, that's probably a good financial choice.
You know what? You're gonna spend what, $100 tops, maybe?
Oh, I don't think there's $100 worth of beer space in this place. I also, if you go, they have a Facebook page, which I didn't send you, but if you find their Facebook page, it has a bunch of short videos of people doing karaoke, and it's quite a scene. Quite a scene.
Okay. Yeah, please don't go.
I'm not going to. So see, I could feel this. I've been in enough dive bars in my life that I had, my instincts told me that this might not be the dive bar for me. And I decided to look on the internet first. And I'm glad I did.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, Federico, let's move on. I wanted to talk to you about a different topic, which is, I thought it would be fun to talk about our favorite gadgets that aren't related to a computer or a video game. So, no Apple stuff, no consoles, no retro handhelds, none of that. It has to be something other than your computer related or video game related.
Interesting topic. So my first pick would be, computer related. Are the Meta Ray-Ban glasses computer related?
See, I think they are, Federico. I think they are, because it's a computer. It's an accessory to your iPhone, and I consider the iPhone and the iPad computers.
What's your favorite gadget? What is a gadget that is not tech or video games?
If you'd like, I can go first. I have 2.
Please, okay.
All right. I'm going to start with a kind of obvious one, but I think it counts, which is my LG C2 television, which is my OLED TV. It's a 55-inch model. I got it a couple summers ago when we moved. And, it's a great TV. It's still a great TV that you can get on Amazon. And I just looked today. It's like 25% off right now, which is pretty good. It seems like right now with the LG OLEDs, the sweet spot in terms of the price is between the 55 and 65 inch. You get a big jump in price once you start going bigger than that. Our house is not big enough to support 77 inches anyway, but we have the 55 inch one. And you know what? For me, things like TVs, and this is true for a lot of gadgets that aren't computers or video games and that kind of stuff, I just want them to be really good at what they do without having a lot of fiddly options. It's like the opposite of what I want from computers and other things. I was thinking about this because that's one of the reasons I went with the OLED, the LG OLED, is I wanted a lot of HDMI ins. I wanted the ability to shut off all these silly software, adjustments that they make to make everything look oversaturated and too bright. And I just wanted it to play video. I wanted to be able to easily connect an Apple TV, connect my video game consoles, and be done with it and not really touch it beyond that. I don't use the web, I don't use the WebOS apps at all. I don't use anything. It's strictly an Apple TV box, and then I have an Xbox and a PS5 connected to it. I have a second one too that's just more of a kitchen thing. But have you come up with anything yet?
Well, yeah. I really like my espresso machine.
See that. I'm going to a similar place with this. Yes, go ahead.
It's a DeLonghi. In Italian, it's specialista would be the model. It means specialist in English.
Yep.
It's an espresso machine with a built-in grinder. so that it grinds the coffee beans right before making the espresso. It can make different types of coffee. It can make an espresso, it can make a double, and it can make an Americano, which, as you can imagine, I never actually brew. It makes really good espresso. It also has a...
Don't look down your nose at the Americano. An Americano is a good coffee.
Yeah, but I just never make it myself.
All right, it's fine. It's fine.
It's got a foam thing if you want to make a cappuccino, which I also never do. It makes really good coffee. The grinder, like the blades of the grinder, are like really good quality. It's got dials to adjust the sensitivity of the grinder, so you can make the grinding more fine or more coarse. And it allows you to pour 1 shot of espresso or 2 shots of espresso together.
I see
and
that.
you can also just use the machine to warm up some hot water. If you want to make a tea and you have like a tea bag or like a chamomile tea, for example, or any kind of like herbal infusion, it just pours hot water in like 30 seconds. So that's very convenient.
Oh, that is nice.
Yeah.
It says you can do, it says it has cold brew technology built into it too. Have you ever done that?
No idea. I have no idea. It's got a pretty big water tank, so we only need to refill it like twice a week. And we do use it for like coffee all day, every day.
Sure.
But also hot water. Like for example, even if you're cooking something and you need to, like say you're making pasta sauce and you feel like you need to put a little more water in the sauce to make it not as dense, instead of pouring water down from the tap, so it's cold water, or pouring water from a bottle, you can just add hot water to the pan as you're cooking the sauce, which is better as it keeps the same temperature. So that sort of stuff. It's a really good espresso machine. We got it heavily discounted for Black Friday 2 years ago. We got it at like a 60% discount for Black Friday. Yeah, it was because otherwise it's a very expensive machine, but we got it somehow for like 300 euros.
Oh, that's really good, because I just sent you a link to the Amazon website, the US Amazon.
Oh, mine
website.
is bigger than that. Mine is bigger than that, slightly larger than that. Yeah.
All right. This is called La Specialista too, although
they have multiple models.
Okay. This one doesn't, it looks like it probably has a smaller tank or something, maybe.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I can probably find the exact.
There's a model number, maybe if you send it to me, because they have a big store on the US Amazon site, as well as obviously, I'm sure, the Italian website.
Okay, so mine is the DeLonghi La Specialista. It's the 9335.M model. That's the 9335M. That's the one that I have.
Well, very good to know. Very good to know. Well, that is very apropos, because my second pick was going to be my coffee maker, which is not an espresso machine. It is a Breville Precision Brewer drip coffee machine, the BDC450BSS with thermal carafe, according to Amazon. Now, what's nice about this is it shares, I guess, a few of the similarities with what you just described, because it is a very big tank, which I like. It can make anywhere between, a single cup of coffee to 12 cups. The one thing I don't like is you put the coffee grounds into a paper filter in this basket that connects to the water tank, and the water heats up. And you have to use different kinds of filters depending on whether you're doing between 1 and 8 cups and 8 and 12 cups. And that's just because of the way it's doing the brewing and how long it takes for the coffee to go through. What I like about this, though, is that in the past, I've always had one of those coffee machines that has a little hot plate at the bottom, which is good in that it keeps the coffee hot for a long time, as long as the machine is on. But by putting it straight into a thermal carafe, it also keeps it warm for quite a long time and doesn't continue to use as much electricity, which I kind of appreciate. Plus, it can do a bunch of different things. It has a bunch of different settings for cold brew, which is supposedly the best. That's what I use. But there's also, you can do cold brew, which essentially pours cold water through the coffee grounds very slowly overnight. It takes like 8 hours to do 6 cups. And it eventually ends up in the carafe. And like the TV, it has a lot. This one actually does have a fair number of different settings and things you can do. There's like a speed mode if you're in a hurry. But for the most part, I just leave it on one setting, get up in the morning, figure out if I'm going to make 6 cups, 8 cups, 2 cups, whatever it is, put in the water, put in the grounds, and hit go. And that's all I do. And Breville appliances tend to be a little more expensive. We have a toaster oven by them too, which is we've had for a long time. That's really held up well. And that's why I ended up going with this coffee maker when we moved, because it seems to be really solidly built and works very well.
Very nice. Very nice. I don't think I have any other picks for something that is not tech related.
Well, I was only going to tell you about my coffee maker, but then I thought about my TV, and that's why I decided to go with the TV. I think the TV is probably one of the electronic things that most people use. That, I mean, I guess technically in a way it's a computer. Someone's going to tell me that there's a little Linux computer in it. Probably, I'm sure there is, but because it's everything's got Linux in it these days because it's the renewed year of Linux. But yeah, I don't really consider a television a computer, since all I'm using it is a display. So, all right, do you want to do a quick pick, Federico?
What you got for me?
Maybe you can chime in on this one. I have Loot Season 2. Have you watched this yet?
Yes.
Oh,
this
I didn't know
a
that
pick
you had
of
watched
mine,
this.
I think, a while ago. Yeah.
Okay. I thought we had talked only about Loot Season 1, but
No, I talked about it was only the first 2 episodes, I think, that I watched at the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we just finished this. I don't know. I mean, it's been out for quite a while, but we didn't get to it until a few weeks ago. And we've been watching 2 or 3 of them a night. And I forget if it's 8 or 10 episodes, but the show is so good. It's got a really good heart, I think, which is like, it's got real characters that are very different from each other. And it's, it's a little bit like The Office in the sense that you've got kind of this romance blooming between the billionaire who's running the charitable foundation or be part of the charitable foundation, and the more ordinary everyday folks who are running the charitable foundation. Because we talked about season 1 back in the day. Maya Rudolph plays the billionaire who gets a divorce, and in the wake of her divorce and getting billions of dollars from her ex-husband, she gets involved in the charity that her family ran and trying to help people. And, there's a lot of stuff that ensues from that because she's a little bit of a fish out of water. She doesn't know how to work in an office environment. She's not really used to dealing with people who are not billionaires, all this kind of stuff. And that makes for a lot of really great comedy. But I think the characters are what really set it apart for me, is that there's just a great cast of actors who play some great roles and lend to the heart that the show has.
Yeah, it's an amazing sitcom. Lots of good heart. I appreciated in season 2 how they talked about and showed the other ensemble cast more in depth, sort of putting more focus on the other employees of the company. I incredibly appreciated the entire story arc about the wrestling league. I thought that was really funny and really well done. Yeah, it's one of our favorite sitcoms. I think it's been renewed for season 3, I believe. I saw the news a while ago.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's up there along with Girls 5 Eva for us in terms of like our favorite sitcoms. And I continue to believe that they don't, for whatever reason, modern television, they don't make this kind of sitcoms anymore.
They don't. I was actually going to say the same thing. They're really few and far between, and they're kind of gems now when you can find one.
Yes, and I don't know why that is. Everything is like a drama or like sci-fi, which I appreciate sci-fi and drama, but like a good sitcom is something that Sylvia and I will always appreciate it before going to sleep.
Right.
And so, Lutz season 2, I spoke about it after the first couple of episodes. The entire season is incredibly good and fun. One of my favorites was like the episode when she goes to the yoga retreat.
Oh, yeah.
That was a really good one. Yeah, highly recommended. In my opinion, one of the best shows on Apple TV Plus.
Yeah, it really is good. And I don't know, maybe it's something about streaming, but it's going kind of the way of movies where it seems like every show feels like each episode has to be longer than it really needs to be. Mm-hmm. And they're all dramas. And so you end up with these a series like Presumed Innocent, which I liked a lot and recommended on the show before, but it can be a slog to get through those. And sometimes it's nice just to have something funny and short that you can watch when you're tired. So,
Yeah.
highly recommended. All right, everybody. That's it for this week's episode of Mac Stories Unwind. You can find me and Federico over at macstories.net. We are working on our annual reviews, and they will be out soon. So stay tuned for that. You can also find us on social media. Go to vitici.macstories.net or johnvorhees.macstories.net to follow us on Mastodon. And we're on Threads and Instagram, where Federico is at Vitici. That's VITICCI. And I'm at John Voorhees. JOHNVOORHWS. Talk to you next week, Federico.
Ciao, John.